Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel and welcome to another very interesting video today. We are going to analyze the real data of India's performance in World T20s. Okay, T20 World Cup is coming up in the next few days. So I thought I'll analyze how they have performed in previous T20 World Cups. We are going to work with real data and write some SQL queries to analyze their performance. First of all, I have this data as you see. This data has the matches they played, the innings, whether they won, lost, what was the margin of victory, if they won by chasing, how many balls were remaining, what happened to the toss, who was the opposition, the ground, year, and what stage was it. Was it the semi-final, group stage, super 8, and so on. Now you might have the question, how did I get this data? So I'll also show you how. Right, this comes from Cricinfo. Of course, I've done some extra processing, but let's see how to get a data like this. So you can go to Stats Guru inside Cricinfo, and then over there you can select team, and then go to advanced filter. Okay, and then here we want to analyze India's performance, so I can say team India, opposition, all teams, all this doesn't matter. When it comes to tournament type, first of all select T20Is because we are looking at T20Is. Then here we can select India. Okay, and now when you come to trophy or tournament types, you'll have ICC Men's T20 World Cup. Click on that, and then we can generate two sets of data. If I select match results and submit the query, you will get all the results of India's matches, 44 matches. First match versus Scotland in 2007, all the way to the last game they lost to England in the semi-finals in the 2022 World Cup. Right. So this is like match results. You can get the toss, the margin of victory, the result of the match, the ground, and so on. To be able to get some more data about their score and stuff, what you can do, instead of match results, you can also select innings by innings list and submit the query. Now you'll get what is the score they made and the run rate and so on. I've taken both these, copied this into Excel sheet, done some processing, and that is how we have eventually got this data. Okay, so everything is now neatly set up. I've just added the stage by myself, whether it was group stage, super 8, semi-final, or final. Now we are going to try and answer some questions. You can follow along. I'll also put the queries. Okay. First question is, what is India's overall record in these tournaments like T20 World Cups? So for this, we have a column called result, as you see. So we will simply try to see what has been the performance like. So I'll say result, and I just want to count, right? And then I will remove the limit, and I can simply group by result, right? This will give me an idea overall how they have performed. Okay, so it looks like there has been one no result. I think that was the first game against Scotland. They've tied one game. I think that was the the bowl-out game in 2007 World Cup against Pakistan. They won 27 and lost 15. Overall, they seem to have a fairly solid record, right? So this is how you could see simply overall records. I'm going to just paste the query here. Now they want to know head-to-head versus all the teams, how India have performed. How can we find this out? So instead of the result, we can just go for opposition. Okay, and also against each opposition, what is the results, how many wins, how many losses, and so on. So I'm just going to do that, and then also group by opposition and result, right? So for Australia, how many wins, how many losses, and so on, we want to find this out. And I will also order this by opposition. Okay, let's have a feel of how it has been. Now we have the record. So Afghanistan, they won all 3 games versus Australia, they won 3, but they've also lost a couple of games, right? This has been the record of India. Let's go down a little bit. Versus England, they won 2 and lost 2. So Ireland, they won. Namibia, they won. If you notice, against New Zealand, they have lost all the 3 games. I think it was like the 2007 World Cup Super 8 game. Then I think 2016 home game in the T20 World Cup group stage, and then 2021, I think in the Gulf, they lost. They lost 3 games. Against Pakistan, they won 5. They've lost only 1. I think this was the game where Pakistan won by 10 wickets back in 2021. And we have same way results with other countries. Surprisingly, India have played Sri Lanka twice and have lost both the games. I think one was in the 2010 World Cup, and other was probably the 2014 World Cup final, right? T20 World Cup. But India have never beaten Sri Lanka in World T20s. Seems a very surprising fact for me, right? And the other results are also given here. So this is how we can find against each opposition how many games India has won or lost. Now, let us look at the records in knockout games, right? Because there has always been a complaint that India have been struggling in knockout games. So how do we find out, which are the knockout games, right? So for that, I'll go back into the data and I will just say distinct stage. Okay, there's a column called stage. So this says Super 8 and so on. So group stage and Super 8 are definitely not knockout games. So we have to remove those two, or we can just say semis and final. Okay. So I'm going to look at India's performance in these games. So let us say I'll select star where stage in, and I'm just going to put either the semis or the finals, right? These are generally the direct knockout games. So if you notice, we're getting around 6 rows. Okay. And in this, if you see, India won 2 times. I mean, this is the task. So India won 3 times and India lost 3 times. Okay. That is how the results seem to be. So if we look, the games that they've lost, right, the last three is, of course, the 2014 final versus Sri Lanka, 2016 home semi-final against the West Indies, and of course the recent hammering versus England 2022 semis, right? I think here India lost by 10 wickets, as you see, right? England just hammered India. They chased it in like, I think, 16 overs or something. So this has been their result in knockouts. So if you see, especially the last three T20 World Cups or so, India have been struggling. Before that, they won the semis and final of the 2007 World Cup. They were the champions. 2014 semis, they beat South Africa, but since then they have faltered in the knockouts. Okay, so this way you can check how their performance has been in the knockouts. I'm going to put the query here, right? Now let us look at how they have done batting first versus chasing, right? So how can we find this? So let me go back to the data again. So batting first versus chasing, how has their results been? So here I obviously have innings, right? If it is 1, they have batted first. If it is 2, they have chased. Okay, and then we have the result. So I'm going to just say innings and then have a look at the result and do the count, right? To see how they have fared batting first versus second. And here I'm going to group by innings, comma, result and order by innings, right? This will give us an idea how they have batted first and won or lost, and further idea about their performance. So now there's 1-0, I think the abandoned game against Scotland. So when they have batted first, they won 15 games and they've lost 9 games. Okay, so they have 15-9 record, win and loss. There was one tie as well. Now, when they have batted second, which is when they have chased, they have won 12, they have lost 6, right? So looks like when they are chasing, they are like more consistent. They won 12, lost 6, right? 12-6 is a 2-1 record. When they have batted first, they have 15-9, right? That's a 5-3 record, which is not bad. So that is how it is. So looks like slightly better off chasing, but overall, even batting first, they have done quite well, right? So this is with respect to batting first versus batting second. How has their performance been? So I'm going to put this query in here. Now, just ask the scenario, what if India batted first and made 160 plus? In those cases, what has happened to the games, right? So for this, what we can do, I'm going to go back to select everything. And so batting first, right? So that means in the innings is 1, right? That means they batted first. And score, right? Score real is greater than 160, right? What has happened in these games? Let's see how many games exist like that. So it looks like there are 12 games, right? And let's see the results. Okay, what has happened when this kind of a scenario has taken place? So I'm going to count the results and group by result. Okay, so they've actually won 9 times, they've just lost 3 times. So if they bat first and they make 160 plus, India are winning 75% of the games, right? 9 out of 12 games, they've just lost 2 times. Okay, so this is the query. I'm going to come here and paste it. Let's see what are these games actually. Okay, so India have actually lost only 3 games. Let's see which games these were, right? So come to result and scroll down to last. Okay, so it looks like the game against England in Adelaide 2022 semis, the Windies game in 2016 semis, and then against Sri Lanka in the 2010 Super 8. These are the only 3 games where India have scored above 160 and lost. Otherwise, they've consistently, whenever they scored 160 plus, they've been able to win, right? They've been able to defend the score. Seems like an interesting stat. Now let me go down. Are there any margins of victory above 50 runs, right? We need to find this out. So let us come back to the data and see, is there a margin of victory? So here we have margin of victory in terms of runs. So if they won by runs, it's also like we want to look at mostly first innings, right? Unless there has been some Duckworth Lewis or something. So for the sake of simplicity, I will just say where innings equal to 1, right? And the result is obviously 1, right? So they won the game, and this is like 15 times, and the margin of victory above 50 we want to find. How can we extract it from this? Here we need to know some SQL, like let's say intermediate to advanced topic, right? So we have the runs. So what we can do here, right? I will select star, plus I'll add a new column. First we'll find out where this word runs comes. Okay, so I'll write string position function, and basically in the margin column I want to find where this runs come, right? So if I write like this, it says okay, runs come in fourth position, third position, and so on. Okay, yep, I think that's how it's looking. All right, let's just check the data. Okay, all right, cool. Now what we can do, right? We got the position, right? Fourth position. Now in this margin string, we will find whatever is before runs, right? For that, what we can do, on top of this, we can add a left function, right? And say, hey, consider the margin column, right? In that, find me whatever is before the word runs come. So the position of the place where runs start, -1 will give us that answer, right? So I'm going to run that, and let's see what we get. And now if you see, we are able to get the runs, right? So 18, 37, and 15 is nothing but the margin of victory, as you see from here, right? We were able to get this. However, this is still a string, right? Now we need to convert this, right? So in the where condition, I will put, instead of putting this directly, right? Let's try putting this directly and see if it works. Ideally, it should not work, okay? If I say greater than 50, it says no matching signature because it's a string. What I will do here is I'll use another function cast to convert whatever we are doing here, right, into numeric, right? I will say cost of whatever that is there as numeric, and now it's a number. I can check more than 50, and if I see that, I see 5 games where India won more than 50 runs. So other versus the Netherlands, I think in 2022, Zimbabwe in 2022, England in 2012 in Colombo, they beat Australia. I think that's the biggest margin of victory, 73 runs in 2014, and Abu Dhabi against Afghanistan by 66 runs, right? These have been the 5 occasions where India won by more than 50 runs. So I'm going to copy this query as well. And then we have the finest one, biggest win in terms of balls remaining whenever they've been, let's say, chasing, right? So for this, I'm going to directly remove all this, and I'm going to say where innings equal to 2. Okay, so let me remove this. So it's also win. So innings equal to 2 is not enough. You have to say result equal to 1, right? So wherever they won chasing, we'll first find the data. Looks like they have done it 12 games, right? Biggest in terms of balls remaining. So balls remaining is a column. So I can simply say order by this balls remaining descending, right? That will give me the biggest number. And now it's like ordered that way, right? Balls remaining, highest is 81. Looks like they did it against Scotland in 2021 in the group stage, right? So if you look at the chase, they chased in 6.3 overs, and they scored like 89 or something, right? That seems to be the biggest margin of victory. None of the others are even more than 50. Next one on the list is 31 versus Afghanistan, and this happened in 2010, right? So this is probably the only game where they won by more than 50 or 60 balls against Scotland in the 2021 World T20, as you see here. Okay, so I'm going to copy this code and paste it here. Okay, so I hope you enjoyed this video. You can also practice more scenarios, ask questions. There's also something about run rates, overs they've taken, the wickets lost, and stuff. So you can play around, but this is how you can ask simple questions. As you see, we didn't go into too much complex SQL today, except maybe using the cast or the string position function. However, given cricket data, how do you analyze? How do you find out this? It's very important. I also showed you how to pick the data, right, from Stats Guru. Go and try that out. Copy paste into Excel, do some formatting, and then bring it to BigQuery. I'll see you again in another video. Stay tuned for more such videos. Till then, take care. Bye.